we found someone was kind enough to put all the Fizzy segments from the cartoon together that she did for a 20-minute long one, and she will will stop and go with it, and you can talk about it too, and maybe talk about your experience with do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
That's all you, spotlight. That's fine, she can go and then.
Okay, so how many have seen the My Little Pony movie? Woo! All right. Okay, groovy. That's awesome. It was quite a long time ago. When did it come out? 1986, something like that. Yeah. So it was. I was so excited to be in it, although I didn't get to work with the other actors. They recorded us because you notice there are some big celebrities in the show, and which I was not one at the time. So we recorded our stuff separately. I might have done some things with some of the other the ponies, but I did not get to work with Danny DeVito. I did not get to work with Cloris Leachman, although it would have been wonderful and lots of fun. I'm trying to think. Tony Randall. Yeah, but I did work with him once on something else, I think, but not this. Okay, so,
Can you tell us how you, got the role,
how did I get the role?
audition or
If I can remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, that would be fabulous. How I got the role? Well, back then we used to audition. This was produced at Marvel Studios, and I was already working on some shows at Marvel before this. Dungeons and Dragons was, well, actually, yeah, thank you. I was Sheila, the thief. Yeah, Bobby, look out! I say that a lot. But I was a very good big sister. And it's funny, speaking of the coincidences, I was rewatching the movie, and what is Fizzy's magic? Bubbles? Doesn't she get invisible? Yeah, right? Didn't she get invisible in this? I think so. She has this invisibility thing, and I thought, hey, that's what Sheila does too. So that was interesting. I cannot do that in real life, unfortunately. But, so Marvel Studios worked with Sunbow. So before that, we did a show called Pandemonium, which nobody saw, I'm sure. And that was where these three pandas would jump together to make a powerful pyramid of power. And I got to play Peggy, and my brother was Neil Ross, played that character, and I think that ran for one season. But once you start working in Hollywood for, certain studios, they get to know you, just like anything. So you become sort of part of their roster. So after that, we did Dungeons and Dragons, and then before Muppet Babies, or around the same time, I think we did My Little Pony. So, and let's face it, back then, the honest truth is right now, there are thousands of people who do voiceover all over the world. But back then, there weren't that many of us. I was told in the early 80s there might have been 200 voice talent in Hollywood. So when you have a show with ponies that are females that all kind of sound the same, you just round up all the girls in town and say, we got a show for you. So that's kind of probably how we got started, but in the movie, I think I did only 2, but in the TV series, I'm sure I did at least 12. And I think everybody did.
Did you ever talk to yourself?
Talk to myself? He's asking me questions. Did I ever talk to myself? Yes, probably I did. which is really fun, actually, you know, and I've talked to myself ever since I can remember my whole life, but when you get paid for it, it's even better, right? Yeah, and people don't think you're crazy, they think you're talented. Otherwise, they just think you're nuts, but here, this is good. But we started the TV series, and as you know, Hasbro kept producing product, right? So first we were on the original Ponies We Were Cast, and Ginny McSwain was our director. She liked to call herself the Pony Master. And then we'd get a script and they'd say, oh, and now we have baby unicorn ponies, or now we have seahorse ponies, and now we have baby seahorse ponies. So whoever was in the studio, because they didn't have a lot of lines, they weren't outstanding characters, they were just additional characters. We'd say, okay, who's gonna play this, who's gonna play that, here, why don't you be this one, why don't you be that one, and we'd all have to, you know, hear, like, okay, what's your name, Amber? No, Ashley. So say she was in the studio with us, Ashley, what are you gonna do for this pony? Okay, so she's gonna do that. So what am I gonna do different? Just like you are making ponies around here, how are we gonna change it a little bit? So let's say Ashley goes, I'm gonna be a baby that sounds like this. So I don't wanna sound just like her, we have to sound different. So, okay, well I'll be a baby that sounds like this. And you know, and and then the next person, well maybe I'll be, you know, Nancy Cartwheel will be the grumpy pony. And you know, and that I'll be one that has a lisp, you know, so that's part of, you know, voice acting, is finding there's so many different ways you can express yourself. And I also coach voicing for animation. So the other thing I always say, they're voicinalities. They're not just voices, they're personalities. So, you know, when you hear Gusty in this, you know, she's like miserable, right? So she does sound like Bart. Well, yeah, pretty much. But that's the personality Nancy has down. She can do other stuff too, of course. But, you know, so even though she, you know, has this kind of thing, she can also be somebody who has an upbeat personality. It just depends. So it's not just the voice. And so that's how we can tell the ponies apart too. But we'd go into work and they'd say, oh, we're gonna do this character. Remember you did it 2 weeks ago? Or no, I don't remember. So we'd have the engineer play us a voice reference because it's hard to remember all those pony voices. Yeah. So that's how we did that.
Did you what got you into voice acting?
You know, you need to ask this on the microphone.
I don't like
What got me into voice acting? I was a good student who talked too much. I grew up and still sounded like I was 12 years old. And you know what? Basically someone suggested, hey, why don't you try this? And I made a demo and I got an agent. And I kind of learned on the job. There weren't that many people back in the 80s. There was a lot of cartoon production, so they didn't hire kids like they do now. And so I got a chance to work. And when the paycheck cleared, I was like, hey, this is a job. Oh, well, when we started, okay, how long would a job take? How long would the movie take? Well, it was probably 1 day's work for me. Because when you break it down, even though the movie's long, how many lines are there? So it could have been a couple days. If we had cameras back then, I would have a record of this, but I'm trying to remember. And I get the movie and the series kind of mixed up because they kind of sort of happened around the same time. But back then, work day for the Screen Actors Guild was 8 hours. So even if you weren't talking the whole time, you were probably there waiting to go in or do your lines or something.
Do you recall like what the pay was?
Do I recall my pay? In the early 80s, it's probably about $480
For the whole
for
day?
the day. Yeah. Yeah, it's really glamorous. But, however, we do, we would get residuals, right? The show, when shows would go on the air, it's just when they would go into syndication, and that would change the pay structure. If you were in a network show, generally that was awesome because you do, what's a season, like 12 episodes? 12 or 26, and then they would rerun them 3 times during the year. The first time they would rerun it, you'd get the same pay as the first job, and then it would reduce. So if you had 1 or 2 shows on the air, that was like making a living back then. And so My Little Pony, what was really great, being Fizzy, I don't know if anybody who, when My Little Pony went into syndication, which I don't know, did it start in syndication? It might have. It might not have been on network TV.
By the time I was alive, it was.
Okay. But I got hired to be the announcer. So I got to go to a studio and record about 140 promos for different TV. That's what paid a lot. Because, coming up next, My Little Pony, or My Little Pony on whatever the TV station was. So that was super fun. I felt like I was one of those from Toy Story, pick me, I got picked to do that. And that was a huge blessing. So, and that was another skill, in voiceover, we've got character voices, but you've also got announcers, you've got live announcers, promo announcers. I knocked my sweater down. On ABC one season, I was the network announcer for Saturday morning. So yeah, coming up next, Care Bears. Care Bear countdown. Yeah, so we did that like every week because they make different promos. And then you do stuff like that, you learn the difference between 2 seconds and 3 seconds. And you gotta do stuff really fast. But as you know, I have a certain skill that I can talk really fast anyway, so that's really cool. So that was super fun, and I was telling some people at our lunch today that we used to go into audition. It's not the case anymore, because now we have all this electronical stuff that we didn't have before. People record at home, right? Send their auditions in. Most people have to have their own home studios now, or at least access to a computer and a mic to do their auditions. But back then, the 10 or 12 or so of us in Hollywood who had voices that were similar would go to a casting office and audition for stuff. And we'd audition for the same role. And usually, you'd get 1 out of 10. So if I didn't get it, my friend would get it, but how we would sit in the lobby, we'd watch each other's kids. Oh, it's time for you to go in, watch my baby. Okay, sure. But so we were all friends. So when you get a show like My Little Pony or Gem that they did at Marvel too, it's like, oh, I get to work with my friends, because how many cartoons had girls in it? Women. It's like ratio is like 1 to 5. So to have us all together was so much fun, and some of us were pregnant together, and some of us, we would always laugh because we would record in this office building where Marvel was, and when we all got in the elevator together, it sounded like a room full of chipmunks. It would like freak the guys in suits out, like, what just walked out of that elevator? So that was one of the hugest blessings, was getting to work with our friends, We weren't competing. And I think that people need to understand that the voiceover industry as a whole is the best thing you can do in acting, because we are a very supportive community. We love each other. We share jobs with each other. If I'm not good for it, we'll recommend somebody else. So it's not like, oh, you know, I want, it's not like on camera people. We're different. But it used to be nobody saw us or knew who we were either. So the fact that I'm even here is a huge blessing, because if you watch, it might have our name in the credit, but it doesn't say who we played, right? So it's different.
Did you audition for the specific character?
Did I audition for Fizzy? I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. And it might sound like I don't care. That's not true. But you learn when you go to audition, you just kind of put it out of your mind. Because if you were like desperate for every job or hanging on to it, you could have a lot of disappointment. The real job of voice acting is auditioning. Once you get the job, that's the fun part. But it's, you audition all the time. So you go in, you do your best, and then when you get a call that you got it, that's, whoa, all right, great. But it's hard to remember the actual audition though. I think the only audition I really remember is auditioning for the Muppet Babies, because I made that happen. I really wanted to do that, and I knew they were having auditions, and I studied, and I decided who I wanted to be. Do you guys all know I worked on the Muppet Babies?
What character?
I did Rolf the dog. So, and I was told I was one of the few people who even knew who he was. But that one I remember reading for, because that was a big deal. But yeah, you kind of have to just, it's like sending in a resume. You just do it and hope you get it. Do you have other questions? Yes?
Which one of all the voices you did you enjoyed the most?
Well, probably it would be Rolf. It would be Rolf. And then I also do a radio show called Adventures in Odyssey. Is anybody familiar with Adventures in Odyssey? So Connie Kendall is my favorite lifetime. I've been working on that show for 37 years. We're still recording. We recorded 2 weeks ago. So we passed 1,000 episodes, and that is just like amazing to be that safe. But next to that would be Rolf the dog, yeah, because I grew up watching him in black and white, and I got to meet Jim Henson, and just to be part of that whole deal is like mind-blowing. Like, how do you, I want to encourage you guys, because especially the young people in here, like, you just don't know what's around the corner. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what's going to happen. So I wake up every day, and my dear husband here, we do a show called Tell You Later, which you can watch on YouTube, and it's also Patreon supported. There's a whole bunch of, extra content and no commercials and stuff on Patreon. So call him the crew of one. As you see, he's my crew over here filming me. But he'll tell you, I wake up pretty happy in the morning. I'm like, there's so much to do. I wonder what's going to happen today, because every day is different. He wakes up like a little differently. He's like, do you have to talk? Like my kids would say, Mom, do you always have to do voices? And I'm like, I think I do. I do. Oh well, too bad for you. But, and so yeah, so a lot of people say, oh, are your kids, are they, do they really like what you do? And like, they do when their friends are impressed. Then they give you a call, Mom, my friend, they're a big fan of blah, blah, blah. Will you do it for them? Because then that makes them look cool. But otherwise, they're pretty supportive now, but back then it didn't mean much to them, really. But it's a great And you don't really know, if I get too talky or sentimental, I'm gonna cry. But to be here in front of people who really appreciate, who grew up, watching the stuff I've done, I'm so thankful that I've lived this long to be able to meet all you guys and hear your stories, because let's face it, when you're doing a show, you're not going to run into a 6-year-old who says, I really like your show. They don't have the comprehension. It's not till you guys get older. And it's your story, and it's part of your history. And then, you reflect on what things meant to you, that you can share that with us. So don't feel like whenever you go to a Comic-Con or something that you're dorky, that you can't share that with people, because every single voice actor I know who goes to conventions is so touched by everybody's stories. We don't take it for granted. We actually have learned to appreciate what we've done a lot more. Yeah, it's a job, but that's what might have felt like back then, which is why I answer your questions so lamely. But what it means to me now is more important even than what it meant to me then. Back then, to be honest, I was like, this is just one big commercial for their toys. But now I see, how it's brought this whole community together, and the different personalities mean different things to different people, and the situations. It seems that beyond the merchandising, it meant things to people that I couldn't comprehend at the time. And it's not like a live play where you see people's reactions. You go in, you record it, and 3 months or 6 months later, it's on the air. When people ask, a voice actor, what are you working on? Well, whatever I'm working on now, you won't see for a year or two, and whatever is on the air now, I did a year ago. So we're like in this weird time thing. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Have you watched all the episodes?
Have I watched all the Pony episodes? Yes, I did. When Summer invited me to go to Chicago, I got on the Google and I bought this DVD series, right? And we watched it. I said, I gotta refresh my memory, right? And I actually watched the movie lately, and I didn't realize all the songs that were in here. I didn't realize the songs were pretty good, right? And actually, the animation wasn't bad. So, it was very colorful, and I thought, it's better than I remember. Yeah. It's not just, and they had some very sweet sentiments that I think clearly, the comedy was good, I think, but also an encouraging message. It wasn't all like some cartoons are just pretty nasty, and I think there's some good relationship stuff in the ponies, and even the new ponies. They're very different looking, but I think they encourage a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
Say that line that time.
Say hi to the bush boys for me. Will I like them? Is it nice? What's smooth? What? Mute it and have me read it? Alright, here we go. Alright, going once, going twice.
Here we go.
Now I gotta sing.
No, not yet.
Frisking about as spring unfolds.
Here we go. Be careful.
Be careful! Stay alert! Say hi to the bush woolies for me! That's not me. What's smooth? Will we like it? Is it something nice? Oh! What's wrong with you? I know, she is. We can't give up hope. Gee, even the twinkle is gone. And I'm going with you. Unicorns are good luck. And good company too. I don't know whose line is what. Mr. Moochick! Let's see. Yeah, you have to tell me what's.
That's Win Whistler.
Oh, that's Win Whistler. Win Whistler should have been a lawyer. Okay, and I'm busy. We're little ponies. Yeah, you know what cracks me up? Well, we'll get there. I think,
You want me to pass it over?
yeah, I don't know. You can find where it is.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Was the animation already full?
No.
And so you didn't have to match your voice with the.
Oh, no. Okay, so yeah, let me make that clear. When we do original animation, we do the voice tracks first, and they animate to our performance. It's only anime or foreign films that have to get dubbed. Yeah, we don't, so that's the difference between original animation and anime, which is a whole nother skill. Like, I actually, come on! Wow! Which is, see, she gets invisible and goes across. I saw that. And I said, oh, that's what Sheila might do. But I'm not sure why she had to get invisible. Is she just teleporting? Winking. So she wasn't flying over there. She just did like, what's that show you watch, Star Trek? We'll never make it through the forest. There she goes. Woohoo! I'm over here! Ah, no, I'm here! Yeah, me too. Alright.
What a wonderful place! These flowers are the most beautiful I've ever seen.
Did you get to do the sniff too? Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's,
Oh my goodness!
oh my goodness! You know how you do dog sniffs in voiceover? Do you want to know how you do teeth chattering? Our pet at the sound. I'm already ready for the celebration!
Oh, I hope we don't miss the celebration.
Oh, I hope we don't miss the celebration. By the way, I think there's a line in this movie that Busy's mouth is moving, but it's not my voice. I saw that. I'm like,
Win Whistler and someone else.
It's the Flutter Ponies!
Let's do one.
They're such a mean mom.
Let's do that.
What are they?
What are
Seen
they?
anything like them before?
I've never seen anything like them before. Oh, there's the bubble. I think I missed this.
Don't you wish you could do that in real life?
Yeah, well, I am a good bubble blower. But you know what's funny? Look, she's holding it with her unicorn. Like, wouldn't that pop a bubble? If you think about it, now that is magic. It's coming out. Is that because
Just make a wish and you get what you wish for.
you mean all I have to do is make a wish and get what you wish for? This isn't the movie. This is to do something else.
That was it was supposed to be the second movie and we cut it into segments.
Wait, let's see. There are 2 minutes still available.
Oh.
The flutter ponies to help us help the fur boss.
Since your voice got a little lower in the second movie.
The animation is weird.
What happened to Brady?
Yeah, it's like her hands are detached. Yeah. I think that was done in North Korea. No, it wasn't. Nothing was done. This is funny. I didn't know there was a second. Where did you get this? I haven't seen that.
And the second movie and they canceled the series 2 and they put it
Robot girl. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is where all the bubbles are. This is in the second thing. That's a new thing they created. Season 2. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You know, I did a lot. It's really nice. I think we're all part of a team. So, really the whole product is the thing we're working on. I don't think anybody thinks they're necessarily a lead pony. Yeah.
Did you know like a lot of these voice actors were in the studio at the same time?
Yeah, we were all in the studio at the same time.
Except the really famous.
Oh, well, in the movie, yeah, when it came to the movie, but when we did the show, we were all together. Yeah. I think, was Sandy Duncan in one of them?
The first one.
The first one? Yeah.
The first, the pilot.
Yeah, I think so. And then, they're all busy. So a lot of times they'll do that. They'll have a movie, and then when they go to make the series, they'll have somebody else, like Aladdin. Right? We had different actors. I think Dan Castellaneta was the genie in the Aladdin cartoon series, I think.
It was.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, what other shows? I mean, all the ones. Whatever they do, usually the stars aren't the voices in the series. I'm trying to think. Did anybody watch The Little Prince on Nickelodeon? Le Petit Prince, yeah, but in English. I was thinking about it because we were talking about dubbing, and that The Little Prince came from Japan. So now, dubbing is so much easier with digital recording. You can record, and everybody in this room, I think, knows how to slide a voice track on something, right? It's like second nature, but when we dubbed that show, oh look, credits.
This is the beginning, and this is like the best. This is my favorite.
This is your favorite one? Should we watch it?
Do you guys want to watch it? But they can't hear it.
Well, what happened to the sound?
No, I don't know.
Oh, there it is.
It's coming out of there now.
Oh. I got it! I'm actually very athletic. Anyway, so when we did The Little Prince, this is so much fun. Woo! You had to exactly dub it exactly right because it went on film. We had to watch it, and that is a whole other skill in itself. Now it's a lot easier to dub. Where are we? San Antonio! Right? Why is this your favorite?
I have the VHS tape.
Right? This is cool. This is really nice because some of the shows I watch they're not really scary creatures in it. Kind of ugly ones. This one's fun. This is no time for frivolity. Did I?
Yeah, they switched up personalities.
Oh, this is like Freaky Friday.
So when this Laura is you right now, it's busy.
Well, she's singing. Now she can sing. Sarah Partridge can sing. Yeah. So if you can sing, it can be very helpful. I sing in character. That means I come close enough. Right? How do I do that? She does talk a lot. Anyway, alright. If they can't hear it, it's kind of pointless. It makes a nice backdrop.
Yeah, I can hear it. I'm just slow so you can talk.
Yeah, wow, I have a lot in this episode. I gotta find this. How did you find this? Will you send this to me?
Yeah.
Please?
I think this is so.
Okay. I don't think this was on the, because I have like the first season, 24, but I don't think this was in here. I mean, how many DVDs are there? How many DVD sets? The one I have, I think, had only like 24 episodes. And I thought we watched them all. Really?
They canceled the rest.
Wow. So, did you ever, when you were watching, like, have any questions about the show as a kid, or did you just accept whatever happened? That makes sense. Yeah?
I always wondered why they had babies.
How those babies, I know, because they're all girls, right?
They're all girls.
I know, I thought the same thing. Like, what is happening here? Like, they're like amoebas. They're just in that mitosis or something. I thought that, they're just like a planet of all women, ponies. I don't know. Yeah, see, that's a logical question. Yeah. What else? Why did you like Megan? She didn't look like a real person. We didn't need those guys, did we? No, I don't know why they even put them in there. No. Oh, is that why? To sell dolls?
You never got a Danny doll.
Is it? No Danny doll? They should make one.
I think they have plans to use the Movie Dreamer Bucky doll on Bonnie.
Moon Dreamers had a boy, and I think they were gonna, use it. But who knows?
Scott Melville, I think, was Danny. And he went on to do a lot of cartoons and stuff, and on-camera acting too. He's still doing voice acting. A lot of the kids that we worked with, they've grown up to be voice actors. Like Jason Marsden, do you know who he is? Yeah, he was one of our cabins in the Gummy Bears, Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears. And then he continued to do acting, and so it's fun to watch, when you bump into somebody. Robbie Wrist was like Cousin Oliver in the Brady Bunch, and then he continued in doing voiceover. So it's fun to watch people grow up and do that kind of stuff. Is anybody here thinking they'd like a career in voiceover? Yeah? Okay. I do have a degree in broadcasting, which is worth as much as the paper it's printed on. But I did learn a lot, actually. But you can't really get a degree in voiceover. But people ask, well, what do you do? Well, most of the people I work with were improv actors, had some training in improvisation because, again, back in the day, you'd show up for work and they'd say, here's your script. Nobody read it ahead of time. Now they might send it a couple days before electronically, but a lot of times because they don't want it to get out, you might not see it till you get to work, or they'll just put it on a screen when you get to work. So you have to be prepared for anything. So I think I mentioned I do voiceover coaching, and it cracks me up because some of the people I work with are theater trained, right? And they just want to take so much time to think about it, like a week. I'm like, you don't have a week. You got to do it right now. You've got, so having, your imagination and understanding that in animation, anything can happen. So, take like this. Okay, well, all of a sudden you're gonna jump over a cliff, and somebody's gonna be riding your back, and then your mouth is full of hay, but you've got to yell to somebody. So how do you do that? So you've really got to have a good imagination and put yourself in that spot, and no, my mouth was full of hay, and I was jumping have a joke in the animation world because it happens so fast when someone says, "What's my motivation?" We say, "Your paycheck." Do it and get paid, right? But you know, nowadays too, casting is very different. They want things to be more authentic. So if you have any ethnicity in your background, just make sure people know what it is, because they want to do authentic casting. So there are things I've done in the past that wouldn't fly these days. Voice matching, and you know, I dubbed the Maharaja's voice in Temple of Doom. And probably if they were to do that now, they'd find somebody with a Indian background, right?
Can you recognize voices if you hear a new commercial or something?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I know who that is.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We're all fans of each other, you know. Or if we hear a famous person, yeah, it's fun to guess who's doing what. Yeah. Can you?
If I listen to songs long enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last year I was watching like a YouTube video or something, and a commercial came on for health insurance, and I'm like, I stopped, and I was like, I know that voice, and it was Sarah Partridge. And I texted her right away, I was like, did you do a commercial for this? She's like, oh yeah. I'm like,
Yeah. I mean, it's great because you know, honestly, audio, which is really my field. I'm not a on-stage person, but audio is my thing, and I think it's the most intimate. Voices are so personal, and like you guys, you've listened to watch these shows over and over again, and they become very familiar to you, and they resonate with you, and when you hear it, it does something that I think seeing something visually doesn't do. There's something about the sound that we are familiar with that can just trigger all kinds of senses inside of us and sensibilities. So, you know, yeah, that's the thing. And I have voices from my childhood that I've gotten to listen to. Even, you know, it sounds funny, but I tell people I used to listen to classical music even growing up. And there was this one DJ, and when he passed away, I was devastated because his voice was so familiar to me. I thought I knew his personality. And really, that's how we get our personalities, especially in cartoons, right? You can't watch this without sound and know anybody's personality, right? I mean, they all look the same. They all, you know, you can't tell, but it's the voice that gives the personality. And that's what, you know, we get to know. And that also gives us ideas of what personalities are like. Like if somebody said to you, okay, I want you to play a bossy person, you might think, oh, or Gusty, or Wind Whistler. I know I can channel that personality. Yes, sir. We have 4 minutes.
How did you get started with the
I prayed. No, I really, when I started going to church regularly, and I thought I'd really like to work on something that's faith-based, and just had, you know, was wanting to do something like that. And one day I heard the family portraits on the radio, and I happened to be in the same town as Focus on the Family at that, and I drove to a phone booth, found their address, drove over to their offices. I gave them my demo, which was a reel-to-reel back then, and which were expensive to produce. MP3s are free now, but anyhow. And I said, I'd really like to work with you guys. And after about a year or so of doing some other stuff, they created Odyssey based on family portraits, and they wrote the part for me. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it's amazing. It's a miracle. Yeah.
Was your dream
Can you turn on the music?
voice actor when you were younger, or do you actually have another dream as a career?
Thank
Do you
you.
want to become something else besides being a voice actor right now? Do you have something you want?
Yeah, I did not have a dream to be a voice actor. I was very practical back then. I thought I was going to be an executive secretary or a teacher, maybe, because those were careers that I knew, and I knew I took shorthand, I knew how to type. Yeah, well, then when I went to college, I thought maybe a producer, but no, but the thing is, I have, besides having a unique set of vocal cords, I also have pretty good ears, and that's really just as important in voiceover because it's hearing things and being able to reproduce them, because a lot of the work I've done is voice matching, so that helps. But no, I think I always enjoyed the entertainment business because I grew up in Los Angeles, but everybody wants to be an actor, so it seemed like lame to think, oh, I want to do this too. But what appealed to me, and I am kind of camera shy, is the fact that back then it was pretty anonymous. We were anonymously famous in a way. Like, you could go to work, do this stuff, you're working in the business, you work with like stars that I was starstruck working with and just so excited to meet, but then you leave work and nobody knows who you are, and it's nice. It was nice. Now we have to, all this social media stuff, but back then it wasn't that way, so it felt very comfortable, like you could have a professional life and a private life, and nobody's following you around, with the camera, like on-camera actors have to deal with. So I like that, yeah.
How old were you when you had took your first job?
Probably 18. Yeah, but that was just a little bitty thing. When I graduated, I was probably about 20 when I got into the Screen Actors Guild. Yeah, and then I graduated college at maybe I was 21, 22 when I came to LA. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, because I started in like 83, 82. Yeah. So that's several years, right? I don't mind. I'm happy. I mean, how many people get to look back and, and what's really cool when I think about it, because when you see actors as they age, and you look back and there's, oh boy, they've really aged. Well, you can look at all my cartoons and they sound pretty much the same, right? So I don't have anybody judging me on how old I look, right? Yeah. So, any last question? Yeah.
Did they ever tell you the toy or the picture of Lizzie when they gave you a role?
Yeah, I think we had an idea of what they look like. We had storyboards that the director would have. We wouldn't get copies, but we could take a peek and kind of get, but the director would direct you. After you record your first, when the first shows would come back, sometimes they would have watch parties so we could see what it actually looked like, because we didn't know. And it's always a fun surprise to see what it looks like, yeah. So I guess I knew it was a pony, and I must have known, but we don't get color. So when it would come back and see what the colors were, that was pretty cool. Yeah. So it's the theater of the mind, guys, until the animators do something with it. And that's what I want to, encourage, when I try to teach people, is every little sound we make is something the animators get to work with. They can cut it out, but if it's not there, they can't use it, right? And it's not like you have to act in front of the microphone, and usually with a lot more energy than on-camera actors, and nobody can see your face. So everything you do has to have some kind of inflection or sound that reads. Like if you raise an eyebrow, you guys can't hear that, but if I went, right, kind of, oh, okay, we can draw something for that, right? So, well, you know, so you can add, I call it decorating the words, decorating the dialogue with, actually now there's a term for it, they call it vocalization. But anyway, I don't want to keep you guys from dinner, so.